All right, guys, here we go. We're going to do three of the fan favorites, DigiByte, Litecoin, and Theta. And how we like to chart these altcoins, quite honestly, is on the weekly chart. As you can see here on DigiByte, let me go back. This is the daily chart, and you have a lot of these wicks up and down, a lot of whipsaw, and we like to, slow the process down, be able to see, the breakouts, breakdowns, consolidation zones. So that's what we're going to do here, and we do that preferably, at least me personally, on the weekly chart. But as you can see through here, let me make this a little smaller. We have this blue dash line, and on several occasions, going back really to, let's see, 2017, if you can believe that, we've had low pivot uh, support zones. Of course, we got through it here, the COVID slammed down, et cetera, came back up. And then just recently, through the end of last year into January of this year, we were under that, previous blue dash line of support. Okay. And then we consolidated here on top, broke out, the 1st of January. And then this down trend line, we hit it, followed it down. And then actually, last week and then currently, so far, knock on wood, we look to be breaking out a little bit here. Okay. And what we're looking for regarding continuation, we want to be above the 20, which we are, the 20 simple week moving average, this blue line here. I'm going to take this other one off. Just kind of, the less you have on the chart, the best, the better rather. You don't want to look like a bunch of spaghetti thrown on here. Those are the two most important moving averages to have in your charts, the 20 and the 200. And the rest you can do on just basically high pivots, low pivots, consolidation zones, and structure, which we'll get into. But anyway, right now, this little high pivot here, I, just mentioned, it was previous resistance. So that's why it has the red dash line. We'll see what happens when we come up into it. But quite frankly, very strong follow through candle this week. Of course, we still have, 5 days to go. It closes Sunday. But we will definitely be watching DigiByte here. Uh, looks like we, finally going to be breaking out, moving, back up to the upside. And should we, not should, but when we finally close above this high pivot red dash line, it could be this week, it could be next week. A lot of times you get these big breakout candles and you'll, back test, backfill into that candle and then continue on. Similar to this, because right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. So that was a pretty good, run. And then they, pulled it back, backfilled, back tested that zone back into this blue dash line of support. Okay. And quite frankly, the next major resistance I see would be the 200 up here. And yeah, I think we can, uh, move from here. And as you can see, Digibyte, when it gets on a run, it blows up. Okay, so that's one good things about it. One good thing about it. And I know, it's at times it's like one step forward, two steps back. But once this next cycle gets going, yeah, it's going to be all, like the post-COVID slam down that we had. Okay, let's go to Litecoin here, and let me take all that off. And as you can see, what I was talking about, the 200, especially when it's a flat 200, that's the strongest resistance moving average on your chart that you can hit, either moving up to the upside or it's pretty good support if you're coming down into it. Okay. And as you can see, pretty much just 1, 2, 3, going on 4 weeks sideways consolidation. Basically, building support, building the foundation in order to turn and get over that very tough resistance zone. And also, you're fighting, if you go, back to the left here, you're fighting this low pivot here as well. So you have two factors and two or more factors give you 83 to 87% odds probability that price is going to follow your thesis. And in this case, obviously you have resistance, so that means price is going to pull back, and we're a little bit above the 20. But a little secret here, I love seeing price action above the 20 on these altcoins and Bitcoin, quite frankly, above the 20. Okay, and that generally signals, a near term or an extended bull run, and I'll emphasize that in a little bit with Bitcoin. But here's Theta. Matter of fact, we look at DigiByte, man, it's up almost 12%. And most everything else is red here. But Theta, let me see if I have anything on here. Yeah. And well, let me back up from this slam down. Look over slam down again, and it just blew up last night. I think it was like, I don't know what percentage. It was crazy. And I'm just going to go with the breakout. I'm not even going to go with the low to our high. Let's see, 13,000% move. Okay. Yeah, I know said about that. And then right here, let me clear some of this out. Support the blue dash line. Let me pull this in so you can see it. Blue dash line over the 20 again. Sweet, sweet, sweet. We last week, well, for 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, a month, we could not get over this high pivot here from that FTX, blowout deal. But this week looks like we possibly maybe could. We're at the lower end of this candle. I don't know why it's sold off, but it was a little bit bigger, earlier in the week. Had this long term from the all-time high to where we are now, down trend line, which of course is going to be a little bit of a problem because all this has been resistance each time we've hit it. Okay, so what normally happens is that you break out, come back, retest, kind of go back to the scene of the crime, and then go. Okay, and then as you pull back, the more shallow that pullback in the upper range of the leg that you just made, again, higher odds, higher probability you can continue and put in another leg about that length or better. Okay, so that's one. Well, let me show you uh, one leg up, and then if we come back in shallow, we could come back, see about the same length. I'm just eyeballing it, but you can see how we could come up into that 220 area, 220, 230 into that 200 actually. And I love this here. I'll just give you another tip. Okay. Okay. All these green candles here are basically one big green candle. Okay. And then you have two red candles closing down shallow. Remember, we're talking about the shallow pullback up, shallow pullback, and then here we go. Okay, so we're just looking for continuation, in those markets. And then I promise to show you this on Bitcoin, how that 20, once you get over it, in my opinion, let me take all this off. This is again for our Patreon members. But anyway, once you get over that 20, if you go back in time, it never fails. I mean, you buy in and around that 20, that blue line. This is, multi-generational wealth being made. And then when you get under it is when you should be scaling out of your position, no matter, what you're in, because this is multi-generational wealth being, melting away like a snowman when warm weather hits. Uh, but anyway, there's a few other, caveats to that. But basically, get in over the 20, start taking profits, when you start getting back under the 20. And right now, I'll continue just a little bit more, not to bore you to death, but we're fighting right now the weekly chart of Bitcoin, fighting this high pivot here, going back to August of 22. And you see we're already over that one here. And then remember what I was telling you a few minutes ago about that two down, one up. Well, here's another one. See, all this is one green candle here, even though it's one, two, three, four, if that makes sense. And then you had a, shallow pullback into the upper range, and then a breakout. We gave this to our Patreon members. What was it, Saturday or Sunday? About, even on the weekly, even though we were coming up into the 200 and the 50, which is major, major resistance, and this high pivot. So you had, several different factors, reasons for a pullback here. But if we can consolidate like this week, not turn red, not, well, we could pull back a little bit, but it better be very, very shallow. We could definitely pop up, next week up and over this range. If we get a close 25,500, yeah, Bitcoin will explode to high 20s, low 30s. Okay. 'Cause we really don't have much of anything as far as resistance once we get over, one, two, three, high pivot, 50 and the 200. Once we get over there, really blue skies until we get up into, this range here. As you can see all this, uh, especially on the left side. You want to know what the next moves are. Only thing I gotta do is look on the left side of your chart here, okay? And that puts us at 31, okay? Maybe a little pullback, shallow pullback into the 20s, and then boom, we're into the high 30s, low 40s in a heartbeat. But okay, guys, thanks for watching. Give us a follow on Twitter, Crypto Charts Joe, and check out our Patreon services, and we will see you on the chart.